I I remember that I started a series called Just Me, where I just kind of come on here and talk about things that float in my head. And most of it is usually inspired by spirit and my connection to being a spiritualist. And I know I haven't recorded in a while. I know I haven't recorded in a really long time. I remember when the inspiration came to me to do it, it was right after COVID. I hope I can say that word. And we were all, locked in, working from home for those of us who were blessed to have that option. But either way, home. In the past 2.5 years, it has been a whirlwind of trying to find some kind of balance and normalcy in the new normal. Because honestly, it will never be like it was prior to the pandemic. And as a spiritualist, how do we, or how do I, my personal connection with the divine and spiritualist beliefs that I carry, how do I see myself responding to the new normal? I'll have to be honest, there have been times when I was up and I was down and I was happy and I was sad and I was angry and I was every emotion you can think of, I had it. But the one constant through this whole time has been my connection and growing development with spirit. You see, I believe that life continues after this change that we call death, that our personalities, the core essence of who we are, continue forever. And while that can be a comforting thought, it can also be scary, especially if you haven't really taken the time to get to know yourself, to love yourself, to want to be with yourself for eternity. I can't, I can only imagine, and spirit only shows me glimpses of what the soul's journey through eternity must be like. I imagine for me, I will always continue to want to know, ask questions, try to put together the magic of it all. I want to know, is there a short guy behind the curtain? Is there an Oz? What I do know is that in the past couple of years, I have lost some loved ones, some very dear to my heart, friends. And as a medium, I have been able to connect with them. Either they come visit me directly or they come through another medium that I happen to be in the presence of who says, Siobhan, I got a message for you. It's so-and-so. And they want to tell you they're doing good and they're watching you, which is also comforting and scaring as well. If you knew these people. No, just kidding. Maybe. And then I turned 50, entered my 50s, the halfway mark, as they say. The other side, the kids are grown. Now there's grandkids. I'm an empty nester. So what does the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years on this earth that I have left looks like? Please ignore my neighbor. He likes to yell. We just send him love and healing. He just wants to be heard by everybody at all times. It's just who he is. But back to the 50s. So far, I'm just getting in it, and getting into the middle of my 50s in a world that has changed and shifted of how it looks, how it interacts, how it deals with, how it handles, how it loves, how it doesn't love its fellow man. It's a lot. I'm going to turn the light up a bit because I'm noticing that I'm a little on the dark side there. Not that I have any problems being dark. Don't get it twisted, but I'd like you to be able to really see me. And in my 50s, I discovered that I want to know more about me. I want to know what makes me tick, what excites me, who am I, and do I like me? I spent the first 50 years trying to get to know myself or know the world, really. Maybe not so much myself as much as the world and how I was going to interact and participate and be a part of this world. And now I want to know about me. And that's where my spiritualist beliefs come in. They come in because knowing thyself and being true to thyself is our purpose. We are all here for our own journey, whatever that may be. We're all here to learn, to grow, experience, and most importantly, be who we are and be okay with that. Natural law comes in and says, we're going to help you out. Because we know that material human existence also comes with some other things that might not be so pleasant. The material needs to feed and clothe and bathe and put a shelter over you or have a shelter, to have to interact with others who may not see you as the beautiful bright star that you are and may do harm. And you have no control over anyone or anything anyone else does. And by the time you are able to get to the point in your life where you can make the decisions, you've already got a lot of other filters of growing up in a loving home or an unloving home or no home at all. Shaping your mind and your thinking. And I say, if you have the privilege, because in a lot of ways, it's a privilege. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, right? If you really listen to the new self-help gurus, you can manifest it. You can make it happen. You are in control of you. Forgetting that we've all come from different upbringings and backgrounds and circumstances beyond our control that shape and form our thoughts and how we move forward in our adult years, should we make it that far. And those of us who may have had the blessings of having the strength of our conviction stronger than the things that happened to us that we had no control over, to allow us to be able to move forward, can now have the luxury, because in a lot of ways, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you and sharing with you my thoughts is a luxury not allowed and not provided to many in our world. Which brings us to, as a spiritualist, how do I see that? Well, as a spiritualist, I first understand that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I second realize that so is everybody else. I third take the time to love, honor, and respect myself, and providing the healing love and space for others to do the same for themselves. I fourth take responsibility for my actions, the things that I can control, and my responses and reactions. They are mine, reason or not, justifiable or not. And at this stage in my life, I am making peace with all of the beautiful emotions, and I mean all of them, and saying, they are mine. I'm angry today. I'm angry. And it's okay. I'm happy. I'm happy. And it's okay. I'm sad. Menopause also helps with that too. I know I made a little joke about that, but that's ultimately it. Menopause, another natural law for us females, helps you understand that sometimes you just feel things and it's okay, and you roll with them. You're okay that you feel. Also makes you okay with the fact that you could break out in a total sweat at any moment and it could be negative 32 outside. Just thought I'd share. Or you have a cold flash and it's 102 and everybody's looking at you like you're nuts. But I digress. Those are the human conditions and part of what I signed up as I came here as a female. Did I choose my female life? Did I choose my life? I don't know. Some would like to say in the spiritualist community that you do. You made a choice and signed a contract before you came. And that very well could be the case. I don't know. Some believe that you're reincarnated and you're reliving out lessons that you failed to learn in the last lifetime, or the one before that, or the one before that. I don't know. What I do know is that the essence of who I am has always been and will always be. And that spirit is not just this entity separate from me, it is me. It is the spark inside of me that grows. And when I take the time to listen in quiet meditation, or just quiet, or even loud, it can be loud in spirits talking. And I believe, or I know, that one of my great spirit teachers, mentors, guides is my own. I'm also not so thinking that I know it all. My word, do I think, do I know that as I get older, the less I know, which is hard for a person who majored in philosophy to realize that they will never know. Then again, not really. I take that back. Because the key to philosophy is there is no answer. But we sure would love to talk about all the questions. I say my greatest joy to this point, to this station, to this moment in time that I'm in currently, looking back on everything that I've done, is that I chose to say yes more than I said no. And part of that choosing is the fact that I have always had an inexplainable knowing that no matter how bad things were going around me, even as a young child, that everything was okay. And I call that my spiritualist truth. The knowing that no matter what, it is okay. It all is okay. It all balances out and works out the way it needs to work. And natural law is there to make it, to let you know it's going to be okay. The roses die in this coldness of the early winter, but begin to rebloom in the summer. The leaves change colors and fall off the branches in the fall. And by summer, they're full of their green life. And some make it through the hard winter, and some don't. But something else comes just as fascinating and intriguing in its place. And that is natural law. That is the story of life. And we could talk about the science and the studies and the tests that were done. But really, what connects us all? What gets us excited or sad or angry, or frustrated or motivated or unmotivated is knowing that at any moment, something can come along, or I can come along and affect the next moment. And because I know I am only guaranteed this moment, how do I choose to spend it? You see, when you're young and born and in a family or not, your moments are dictated by those around you, really. And you get to a point, here in the US, it's 18, where you're told your moments are now yours to determine what you do in them. And if you had a good foundation and ideas, you may choose to do what people expect you to do. And if you didn't have one, you may do things people wouldn't expect you to do. The fascinating thing about the human experience is that as much as we order and organize and try to predict the next step, especially with human beings, the more we discover that it's all ultimately up to that individual. And what we may label as bad or good, successful or failure, only has power for the individual and how they define themselves. You see, ultimately, at the end of the day, it is not how others define you that determines if you lived a good life, but how you define you. Because I can tell you you're a great person doing great things, or I can tell you you're a horrible person doing horrible things. But I'm not you. And only you know what your truth is. And what I may perceive as a bad thing may not be a bad thing at all. And that's the other thing I've learned with spirit and my connection with spirit. We human beings love to label and love to put things in categories and boxes. We like to organize and order for fear of the unknown life that we know we are all living. Because ultimately, the only thing we know is that we have a birth date and that there's an end date for our physical being, and everything in between. There's no script. And for some of us, actually for the majority of people, that's absolutely terrifying. Well, I don't want to go long on this because it has been a while since we've chatted. And I plan to keep this up about once a week. So those of you who stuck around on my channel this long, waiting, thank you. And those of you who have watched this far, listening to the ramblings of going on in my mind, thank you. And I promise this won't be the last time that I turn on the camera and ramble some more. Many blessings to you all. Thank you for listening. And again, don't mind the neighbor.